Then one of the most important things to share is your philosophy. Your perception of life is bound to help somebody. If you show somebody your viewpoint, your vantage point, sure enough, it's going to be revealing to somebody else. You say, here's what I've been thinking about life and about activity and about money and about commerce and about lifestyle. Here's what I'm thinking. If you will share that with somebody, sure enough, somebody's going to come back and say, remember that breakfast we had, the lunch we had, or when we got together that day 3 or 4 months ago, and you talked about those things? I've never forgotten that. In fact, I've started to make changes in my life already. You can't believe the feedback you'll get. Because see, part of the return is not just a room or some money or some percentages. Part of it is the thanks. One of the reasons I do what I do is for the letters and the stories and the people who come back and say, let me tell you what's happening to me. I'm using this stuff and it's changing my life. See, that's heavy. You can't buy that with money. It doesn't matter how wealthy you are. You can only buy it by sharing. You can only earn it, rather, by sharing. And I go for that. I go for the stories. I probably get as much joy out of other people's success as I do my own. The stories you'll come back and share with me, or the letters you write, or the contact you make and say, here's what's happening to me. I'll be just as excited about that as I will my own success and what's happening to me. I revel in that. I take great joy in it. One of the reasons I do what I do. For that kind of experience of people who say, what you said made a difference for me. See, that's awesome. And guess how many of us can share our ideas? Everybody. You don't have to have a class of 200. You don't have to have a seminar of 1,000. Start with one. That's the way I started, awkwardly with one. Let me tell you when I gave my first goal seminar. When I was 25 years old, I met Mr. Schoaf. One morning at breakfast, he asked me, let me see your current list of goals. Remember that story in the evening seminar? So he gave me this little formula on goals. Work on your goals, write them down, right? Consider the size and what kinds of goals so that they will affect you properly. He gave me this little goal formula that morning at breakfast. Guess when I shared it? At lunch. I got a hold of Charlie Garrett. I said, Charlie, let's have lunch. Charlie was a good friend of mine. We had a couple of projects going together. I said, Charlie, I've met this man. Let me tell you what's happening to me. He gave me this little formula for setting goals. I've never heard it before. I'm going to change my whole life. I get together with Charlie, and I show him all this. I said, Charlie, write this down, write this down, write this down. Let me show you what the man showed me. I said, I'm going to use it to change my life. And why don't we do it together? Let's do it together. You've been a clod just like me, right? As I recall now, that was my first attack, right? I said, hey, we've been poor together. We've been just, knocking around together. Now it's time, let's get rich together. Charlie said, wow, that looks interesting. That was really when I first shared it. It was the day I heard it. I passed it along. It wasn't a seminar of 1,000 people. It was Charlie Garrett. And Charlie was a little startled by my enthusiasm and my excitement, but at least I shared it. So just share. You can't believe what will happen as far as your life and your lifestyle if you'll share. Okay.